Let's have a look at a new cryptocurrency together. Well, new for me. I haven't done any analysis on this. I've already done my technical analysis, but let's have a look at an Elliott Wave count. This is BinanceCoin, and I don't know if it presents an opportunity that I want to take advantage of. Let's view this on an arithmetic scale though. When we view it on an arithmetic scale, it looks more hopeful. From this low, we see this strong curve of exponential growth, a huge crash in prices from, what was the high up here, 690.93, and the low here, 213. Well, still a pretty decent pullback, but maybe it's not done, because these, after a strong exponential growth like that, I'd expect to see a deeper pullback. But when we view it on a semi-log scale, it doesn't look so appealing. Okay, Elliott Wave analysis first. I want to put, we'll start down here, 1.107935, so just over 10 cents. I don't want to put this here. I want to put this here, but now we're going to have a problem of proportion. And if I see a series of overlapping first and second waves, that too is going to have a problem of proportion. This is what I mean. If I put my cycle wave 1 up here, then this looks, primary wave 4 lasted 47 weeks, primary 2 only 3 weeks. No, that is just, no, not acceptable. This looks better. Let's look at cycle wave 1 on the daily chart. I think we may have, well, I'll chuck some labels in, we'll get back to that later. Now that looks a little bit better. And now let's put some labels in here. If this was cycle wave 1, it lasted only 23 weeks though, so I think maybe I need to move the degree of labeling down. Let's adjust these labels a little bit first. If I put 3 here, yeah, 1 was 33.6 in length, 3 is 683, that's fine, it's a lot longer. Is 4 over? Okay, so if I have cycle 2 here, I think I need to move this all down 1 degree. This is one of the things I love about motive wave. Look at that, all down 1 degree. That looks a little bit better. And now, yeah, that's a better duration for those wave degrees. Let's create a daily chart and look at some more detail within primary wave 1. And let's see if it has enough volume to have decent looking Elliott Wave counts. We'll find out. It may not have in the early days, and that'll be a pretty common pattern for a lot of these cryptocurrencies. Oh, interesting. Intermediate 2 looks like a 5, doesn't it? I think... Oh no, it's a double zigzag. Yeah, no, that's okay. It does look like a double zigzag. The first zigzag is over here. X and CY looks like a 3. That's pretty good. Intermediate 1. Is this going to subdivide nicely as a 5? Yeah, it does. Oh, very long first wave maybe. That looks pretty good. Okay. Intermediate 3 and 4. I have no problem with relatively brief fourth waves in comparison to their second wave counterparts. That's a feature typical of commodities and markets with extreme volatility like cryptocurrencies. Minor wave 1 doesn't look that good though. No, maybe. Let's have a look. I know that actually does look okay. I'll just expand this out so we can see these subdivisions a bit better. And I think I want to label minute wave 3 like this. Yeah, that actually looks pretty good. Minor wave 2 looks like, what is this? Another double zigzag possibly. Pretty common structure. Oh, I was having a look at some other work online which shall remain nameless. And, oh no, that's not right, Lara. And if you learn nothing else from me, please learn to spot poor quality Elliott Wave work. It's worse than useless. It can send you in completely the wrong direction. If you see any Elliott Wave rules broken, and one of the ones that people like to break, and the 4 overlapping one, just don't accept it. Don't accept breaking of that rule, even in a market with extreme volatility like this. I've done a complete count of Bitcoin back to its inception, and it doesn't need that rule broken for the wave count to work and for it to all have the right look. Is this having the right look though for Binance? Yeah, so I saw some work where that rule was broken. Is this the low? 1.46. No, oh okay. I saw some work where that rule was broken and there were a bunch of truncations which were completely unnecessary. This isn't going to work here. The 4 will overlap. That's unacceptable. And the comments underneath it were really glowing. I'm like, why? I mean, Elliott Wave is hard enough to do and get right normally, but you really don't want to be following poor quality Elliott Wave work if you're not able to do your own. Make sure the Elliotician you follow knows what they're doing. So look for that rule to be broken. Can you see any fourth waves overlapping first waves? If you can, move on. And then of course the most common one, which I didn't see in this work, which was, to be fair, that was a good point. The most common broken rule is the maximum number of corrective structures in a multiple is 3. But a lot of people don't understand the rule and they label WXYXZ and within them WXYXZ, increasing the number beyond 3, multiplying the number of corrections within the multiple beyond 3 and violating the rule. And then the other common mistake is the overuse of WXYXZ. Triples in my research and experience are actually quite rare. If you see work with WXYXZ everywhere, move on. Even if this is the only video of mine you watch, at least learn that, if nothing else from me. This is looking pretty good. So far, not perfect. So I've got a little, this isn't perfectly at the low. That's okay. I think maybe the second wave was some kind of combination. Zigzag X, flat correction. What's this low here? 1.4955. And here, 1.4953. Yeah, I think this could be a combination here. I'll just chuck some labels in there super quick. Or double zigzag. No, I think I want to put that there. You'd need to look at the hourly chart to have confidence on that one though. Okay, so what is the structure of 2? We're looking at primary 2 here. Okay, I think it actually looks like a double zigzag. It was further off to the left of the chart. Here we are, because A looks like a 3, doesn't it? Yeah, A looks like a zigzag. B is less than 90% the length of A, so it can't be a flat correction, because for a flat correction, B must retrace a minimum of 90% the length of A. So for this primary 2, we can't be looking at a flat, because the B wave doesn't meet the requirement. And does this, yeah. Okay, I'm going to change this to a double zigzag. Such a common structure. The purpose of a second or third zigzag, if there is one in a multiple, is to deepen a correction when the first one doesn't move price deep enough. In order to achieve that purpose, the second or third zigzag should move reasonably beyond the first or second zigzag. That looks, yeah, pretty good. I have this third wave looks like a curved movement. Have Absolutely no problem with that. I went over that in quite a bit of detail in my last video, so I don't want to repeat myself here, but I'm absolutely fine with that look. Quite normal. I think maybe this was I don't know. I think there might be a diagonal in there. Oh yeah, okay, I'm going to put this up here and this down here, and let's see if minor wave A was a leading contracting diagonal. Within a diagonal, the fourth wave must overlap first wave price territory. I'm checking the wavelengths. This doesn't look good. The wavelength of 1, 6.28, the wavelength of 3 is longer, 7.66, but then 5 is shorter, so this is neither leading nor leading nor expanding. And a contracting 3 must be shorter than 1. Here it's longer, so that doesn't meet the rules. It just looks so good, doesn't it? But it doesn't meet the rules, so it doesn't work. The other thing about diagonals is they should adhere strictly to their trend lines, and this doesn't look right at all, so that's not a diagonal. Could we have A and B and C could be a diagonal? Would this work? This looks terrible. No, oh, well, actually no. So 3 is the high here is 15.9259. The high here is a little bit higher, 16.22. Within a diagonal, 2 and 4 may only subdivide as zigzags, or possibly a zigzag multiple, very rarely though. Here, 4 can't be a zigzag. You can't label it A, B, C because B moves beyond the start of A, so not a diagonal. At least not how I had that labelled. Oh, there's another way actually of labelling that. Let's try that again real quick. If we put this here. Okay, so 3 is shorter than 1, 5 is shorter than 3, 4 is shorter than 2. Not by much, but do the trend lines converge? Yeah, they do, and they're adhered to. Okay, yeah, that's good. I'm not sure about minor A though. How's this looking? Oh, I think, what if we had A over here and B is some kind of combination? No, I think we have to have A over here. It still looks like a 3, doesn't it? Could A have been a diagonal as well? What if we have 1, 2 here? No, this isn't going to work. No. Well, okay. How motive wave put it, maybe. Yeah. No, because 4 isn't overlapping 1, so that's a rule for the diagonal and that's not met, so that won't work either. Well, I guess an imperfect impulse would work, but 1 and 3 both look like 3s. Okay, that's okay. Maybe on lower time frames they have quick shallow fourth waves up in here and up in here. I can see how 3 here could be labelled. Yeah, I do think it's quite frustrating when people who are doing poor quality Elliott Wave work that breaks rules and they don't understand guidelines and they don't have the right look with their wave counts, then have quite a following and people are using their work. Oh, it's just disappointing. Frustrating. So, I wonder if we've got a triangle in here for B. I don't know if this is going to work. Let's see. Oh, I think that's going to meet the rules, but will the trend lines be adhered to? Oh, yes, very nice. Oh, but now C looks like a 3-wave structure. Oh, okay. I'd want to put A here. I'm going to adjust this triangle, a running triangle maybe. No, because then B hasn't retraced A, so that's not going to work. Let's try again. Let's expand this out so I can see how this is subdividing. Oh, what if the triangle ended here? And it could be a barrier triangle. Oh yeah, that meets the rules. It looks good within the channel. Okay. Is A going to subdivide as a 5 though? No, I want to put this right up here. Oh, that's going to look terrible. Is it another diagonal? Really? Another one? Checking wavelengths. No, it doesn't work. 3 is longer than 1, 5 is longer than 3. That indicates expanding, but 4 is shorter than 2. No, and I just can't see where else to put those labels. Is this a triple zigzag? Yeah, I think it is. Okay, well that's going to solve that problem. So if I... Okay, so this is one of the things I like about Motive Wave. It's going to allow me to change this labeling. Delete the double zigzag, but leave the child waves. Bring in a triple. Where is it? Make it the degree I want, which is intermediate. And this is W, X, Y, X, Z. And now this is going to work. Is this going to work? This isn't going to work. Ah, yes, it's going to work. No, because you can't have one there. It's got to be there. Now 4 overlaps 1. And it doesn't work as a diagonal. Rats. Oh, I know. Okay, here's the problem. A's there and B's an expanded flat. And is this going to work now? This doesn't actually look that good, does it? As part of the wave count. Okay. That's not too bad. Okay. C's going to work nicely, I think. No, let's put this here. That's better. No, actually no, let's put this here, and then we can see a really nice impulse for 3. Yeah, that's good. And now we can see this triangle in here for X. Nice. That looks good. Where's my bottom here? Yeah, and now we've got Z. That's how we say it in New Zealand, not Z, Z. I don't know what's right, it's just how I say it. Now let's squish this up and have a look at alternation here. Within W, A and C, not too close, well, somewhat-ish close to ish equality. Within Y, A and C kind of close to equality, and within Z, A a lot longer and C, so A is extended and C isn't. Bit of alternation there, that looks good. Okay, I'm going to bring in MACD to help. Oh yeah, I want to put the third wave here because that's got the strongest momentum, and let's put the first wave here. Yeah, I actually agree with that Motive Wave. Good job. I usually disagree. It's a super powerful Elliott Wave. charting tool, but I don't use the auto wave feature because I pretty much always disagree. In fact, I've not looked at it in years. Oh, that's a good looking 5 there. This is a decent looking 5 as well. I think this has actually got fairly good looking Elliott Wave structures. Okay, let's chuck a quick label on 2. Now 3. Where are we? Okay, the question is intermediate 4 over? This is the invalidation point. Let's go back to this. So when primary 4 arrives, this is invalidation point. Okay, the invalidation point's a long way away. It's too far away to be of any use. But if you look back at the price history, the 4th wave doesn't usually get particularly close to first wave price territory. This one, 7.70, and the high, 2.95. There's a huge gap here. There's probably going to be a huge gap here as well, and between primary 4 and primary 1. So I had someone getting annoyed about my invalidation point. Okay, fine, you can do you. That was interesting. Which is a diplomatic way of saying annoying. I know I shouldn't. I'm going to put that. That doesn't work, does it? Oh, I know. I want to put this here and be an expanded flat. How long is this B wave in relation to A though? It's not too bad. It's less than twice the length of A, so within an allowable guideline that's acceptable. And then A fits really nicely, B fits nicely, C fits. It's probably going to fit okay. There's an overlap here. What's this low? 21.320684, and this high 21.7. There's an overlap. Let's try and see how this works real quick. I don't think so. It looks like you want to put 3 and 4 here, but that breaks 2 rules. 3 is the shortest and 4 overlaps 1. I want to see 1, this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 3, 4, 5. There could be another little. Third and fourth wave in there. You can't, you need to look at hourly data. I don't have hourly data for Binance. But that would be pretty typical behaviour. Quick shallow fourth wave. And I'm considering that in context, when these cryptocurrencies and commodities have these really strong movements like this big red daily candlestick here, the strength of the downward movement forces the fourth wave that comes just before and just after to be relatively brief and shallow in comparison to the second waves. And it gives an impulse, a curved look for these markets with extreme volatility. So I've learned very much the hard way over the years to accept that. Yep, I'll agree with that too. Wow, really long extended first waves for Binance. Let's bring this here, and I think we can get 5 a little. No. It can't be a diagonal either. Or maybe 4 was a triangle, but then 5 looks like a 3. Oh, I don't think this is going to look like a very good triangle, actually. I think the trend lines are going to converge too quickly. Oh, actually, no, it's not too bad. And E falls short of the trend line. And I think maybe 5 had disproportionate first and second and fourth waves. Yeah, that actually looks okay. So the question now is 4 over? Well, I don't think so. What about proportion? 2 lasted 38 weeks. 4, if it's over here, only lasted 2 weeks. No, that proportion's horrible. Okay, so I'm going to put a triangle, no, with it in B, C, D and E to complete, because it kind of looks like that, and be totally open and flexible to having to relabel that. But it depends on what structure is A. Is it a 3 or a 5? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. That's an impulsive number. But does it fit as a zigzag? And yeah, I'd want to put A and B here. And A is extended and C is short. No, that doesn't work. What if we have this here as 1 a diagonal? Do the wavelengths work? No, they don't. I'm going to put this back here. Oh, okay, I see. No, that doesn't work. Okay, well, that doesn't look too good, and again we'd have to go down to the hourly chart to answer that question, but that's an important question. Have I got A and B in? Okay, it could be a double zigzag that would actually fit. One of the 5 subwaves of a triangle is usually a multiple, but it's not usually A. That's not particularly common. Oh, go away. It's usually D, sometimes B, but it could be A, and if it doesn't fit as a single zigzag, then it could fit as a double zigzag, with the second zigzag extended in comparison to the first. Yeah, and I'll leave it like that. And then B, what is B? It looks like a double zigzag. Can I resolve that problem? Possibly not. Do I want to? Possibly not. Do I want to leave that work there and rely more on classic technical analysis? I wonder, what's the volume like for Binance? A lot. It should be high enough for decent looking Elliott Wave structures. Okay, well that means by process of elimination, the triangle I wanted to see here doesn't really work. And so maybe it's a zigzag or a combination. But if it's a zigzag, then now we can see this as an impulse. Let's see if this works. Oh, yes, it does work. Even if I want to put 1 here, yes, it works very well. Okay, so that means B looks like a combination, zigzag, X, and Y. I'm just checking the length. Oh, okay, Minuet B is less than 90% the length of A. So even if we put A here and see B as a expanded flat. Oh, let's just do a quick check. No. Yeah, it's way less than 90%. So minor B is a double zigzag, not a double combination, which means we should expect minute y, pink y, to move reasonably beyond the end of W. But if I've got A correctly analysed as a 5, that means B shouldn't move beyond the start of A. So let's chuck some arrows in here. I'm going to keep doing this style video at least once a week, twice if I have the time, in order to get through that list that the YouTube channel subscribers and viewers gave me for looking at cryptocurrency possible opportunities for investment, which I want to find. So B can't move beyond the start of A, and if this has got enough volume for good-looking Elliott Wave structures, I've tried to see A as a single zigzag, a double zigzag. I don't want to try and see it as a triple. The probability is too low. It fits beautifully as an impulse. That means B shouldn't move beyond its start. And so I'd be expecting upward movement to move reasonably above 432.30 before a trend change, and then a new wave down for C to move below the end of A. So if this is an investment opportunity, I wouldn't want to be looking at it yet. I'd wait until I see a swing high in place, look to see if there's some strength in downward movement. I'd look for a bearish engulfing candlestick pattern, and I'd check the Elliott Wave count again. Does it still look good? If the answer is yes, I'd calculate a target for C and identify technical support, and then look for a low in place before considering buying some of this. Let's look at classic analysis now. Weekly chart first, daily chart second. I'm so sorry, but before we do that, I just want to have a quick look at the full price history and identify how it behaves with RSI, ADX and ATR. Let's view the crosshair. So at this major high, not enough data. Here, RSI reaches deeply overbought, 96 point, well, over 96. No bearish divergence at this high. Not enough data there for ADX. At this low, RSI doesn't reach oversold, or almost possibly oversold. ADX doesn't, it does catch up with the downward trend at the low, but only at the end. At this high here, we do now see some bearish divergence, and RSI reaches overbought. Not as much as this peak though. ADX at this high reaches extreme. It gets up to 50, so not very, very extreme. Well, it's very extreme, but not as extreme as other points. And we get this double bearish divergence with RSI. And here again, RSI has reached 97, wow. And this high here for price was $342.87, and yet here it continues on to reach 690. Doubling, it doubles in price, and then we see divergence. So here it reached extreme, no divergence, and it had a pullback, and then sideways movement, another pullback, and it goes on to new highs. Divergence here, very extreme but not very, very extreme ADX. Divergence here, and very, very extreme ADX over 70. RSI 97. Divergence. Following that, I'd expect possibly a deeper pullback in percentage terms. Let's have a look and see what percentage this is so far. I'm looking at the percentage of 477 as a percentage of the length of 3, not as a percentage of the total price. It's only 60, well, I say only, it's 69 well, it's 70%, which is pretty deep. But I think if we look back at the price history of prior corrections, like let's look at this one here. This is over 80%, and this one here, this is over 90%. This looks a bit shallow. Okay, let's go back to this. So at this high here, bearish divergence, a bearish engulfing candlestick pattern with push from volume. That's impressive. Bearish divergence between price and RSI, while RSI was deeply overbought, and volume declined after a blow off top. And as soon as we saw this bearish engulfing candlestick pattern, yeah, I'd be expecting some pullback. Support about 225. Support below is somewhat thin. If it breaks below support at 225, it could go a lot lower. A couple of resistance lines above, but they're quite a long way away. 637 and 687. Volume does not support upward movement. But again, let's go back. I'm going to add volume. How does it behave early on in a movement? Okay, here, volume is light. Volume curves with price. That's just such a common feature of these currencies. Volume is light here. Okay, so sadly, for analysis purposes, the fact that volume is light doesn't actually necessarily mean that this is a counter trend movement. It could be the continuation of an upward trend, but I think for terms of proportion and reaction after these extreme conditions with divergence, I would expect some more sideways or downward movement. That does fit the Elliott Wave count conclusion. Let's watch on balance volume carefully. If you want to look at Binance, I've drawn a support line in purple, a resistance line in yellow. Over the years, I've found from my experience, on balance volume works really well with trend lines, not so well with divergence. I much prefer to use it with trend lines. A break above resistance would be bullish. A break below support would be bearish. The resistance line is virtually horizontal, so it has strong technical significance. RSI is back in neutral territory, but still above 50. ADX is coming down from very extreme. No clear trend, but the positive DX line has crossed above the negative, but it's still above both of them. So if it turns up here, the black ADX line, the trend would still be extreme and stochastics neutral. What about the short-term picture? Off these lows, we've got a big bullish engulfing candlestick pattern here, a morning star in these three, another bullish engulfing. This one has support from volume. That's impressive. Unsurprising, we're getting upward movement. We've got a new high above this point, and here we've got an evening doji star, and this candlestick is a gravestone doji, so that's fairly bearish. I'd expect maybe a little pullback to continue here. I should have drawn it on here, but I'd draw a support line, although with such a slope and not so many tests, it wouldn't have good technical significance. On balance volume breaks below support. That's a weak bearish signal. Weak because this line only has two prior tests. It's got a bit of a slope and it's not long held. ADX is just now indicating a trend which is extreme, but not very extreme, and we've seen this can become very extreme. RSI, no bearish divergence at the high and not particularly overbought. Back in neutral territory, stochastics returning to neutral. ATR declining as price slowly moves higher. Okay, let's try and draw a conclusion from this chart. Finally, the moving averages are overall bullish, but we've got a death cross here with the I use a Fibonacci 55, the 55-day moving average crossing below the 200-day moving average, which is green. So somewhat inconclusive, but overall bullish because they're all positively sloped and prices above all three, but not fully bullish. So I've also noted a couple of bearish candlestick patterns here, gravestone doji here and a bearish engulfing candlestick pattern here, both within the context of an upward trend, weren't followed by much. So a little bit of care with candlestick patterns as well. Read them in context of everything else. But now we get a strong bearish candlestick pattern. ADX is just extreme, RSI is overbought. Well, I think we could get a little bit more upward movement before it's ready to change. I don't necessarily think a high is in place yet. This would be my bottom line. If we see a new all-time high, it's back in a bull run, obviously. Well, not certainly, but it would look very likely. I don't think it's quite ready to get there though. I think it needs more sideways or downward movement as a reaction following this extreme situation on the weekly chart. And overall that fits with the Elliott Wave count. I think we're going to see a zigzag continuing sideways and lower for Binance for a while, so this is not an opportunity I'm going to take advantage of. That's all for me, and just a reminder, we're launching our new website on Saturday at 10 a.m, which is super exciting. And if you want to get my weekly analysis of Bitcoin, S&P 500, gold and oil, we'll have a special rate of just $40 a month for that, and it'll only be available for 24 hours from 10 a.m. Saturday to 10 a.m. Sunday. And I look forward to seeing you in the membership of my new website, pureelliottwave.com. Thank you.